And we're hot, we're recording, and we're going to roll into this one in a different way than usual. Welcome to Shiftless, the show only about bicycles. This is Kevin checking in, flying solo this week. Unfortunately, Brad and Caleb are a tad under the weather, and it is pouring outside. So, working from the back porch at Casa Verde just wouldn't be a good idea. That said, going to warn you all on the front end here. Lots of hot sports opinions coming this time around. Some stuff's kind of come up that I want to touch base on. And this is the second go at this flying solo episode. And who knows, maybe I'll shut us down after this one. Gonna do a YouTube version of this one too, because I need to do my weekly Spinistry content, and it's probably going to be this episode here. So let's see what happens. We're going to cover a lot. We're going to cover a lot of ground. A lot of it's positive. It's not bitching and moaning. Just a little bit of bitching and moaning. But hey, we'll talk about it. And maybe I'm in the wrong. Set me straight in the comments. Things like that. The YouTube version, you're probably better just to listen to the podcast. Shiftless.org will take you there to the podcast version, but we'll throw it up for the YouTubers as well. Here's where I want to start talking about things, though. We just, this past weekend, had an amazing weekend kicking off our 2025 gravel season with this year's edition of the Texas Chainring Massacre. Yes, technically we kicked it off earlier in the month at the Harmony Hall. Think of it as our fiscal year. The Texas Chainring Massacre is kind of our Daytona 500. This is where we kick off our year each year, and then we like wrapping it up down in Shelby at the Harmony Hall. But we had a fantastic weekend. Over 550 people signed up. We kicked off our introductory Privateer Invitational Gravel Race. We are very excited about how that format worked. We're doing it again next year, and we're building everything for Spinistry 2025 around next year's Texas Chainring Massacre weekend, featuring the Privateer Invitational Gravel Grinder. And just as a heads up, Privateer had a $5,000 cash payout this time around. We're hoping to at least double that next year. The way the payout worked, 50% of that $5,000, so $2,500, went to the men's and women's 1, 2, 3 podiums. So basically, I think if I remember correctly, it was $600 for first, $400 for second, $250 for third. That left a balance of $2,500, and we gave away 5 random $500 payouts to people who completed the entire Privateer weekend within the cutoff time, and some of that was double dippers. So some of the podium winners also got that random payout there. Don't know how the math is going to work next year, but I didn't hear any complaints on that split there. We're looking very forward to taking the Privateer to that next level next year. We hope you'll help us with that. We have lots of stuff in the works to encourage that, and we're going to be building forward from there. Thank you to everyone that showed up for the Texas Chainring Massacre. Listen closely. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the benefits coming to folks that came to the Texas Chainring Massacre and were not Club Spinistry members yet. Remember, if you're a Club Spinistry member and you signed up for the Chainring Massacre early bird, within the way it worked out, 400 entries, that was a free entry for you. So we want to encourage people to sign up early for next year's Texas Chainring Massacre. Our goal is for everyone to get in free. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. But something I definitely want to touch on. This news came across last night, and the timing was less than ideal. I say that because this last week's episode of Shiftless, QBP was specifically one of the companies we talked about and being concerned about the cycling industry. And I believe it was mentioned by Brad that, well, QBP is probably bulletproof because they're so broad. If you're not familiar with QBP, it's Quality Bicycle Products. They're essentially the major wholesaler distributor of bicycle components and parts and bikes as well to the retail bike shops throughout the country. There's more to it than that, but that's the basics of QBP. They warehouse all of the components and bits and pieces, and when your bike shop needs to order a group set or whatever else, they typically order through QBP and a couple of other companies as well, but QBP's the big one. Also, QBP carries bike brands themselves that are available to most of their retailers. Salsa Cycles and Surly are QBP specific bikes. Those are QBP brand bikes, and as you guys know, we are huge fans of both Salsa and Surly. So the QBP lays off about 2% of its workforce. Don't know what that really means, but again, the timing was kind of, it was one of those things. We had just talked about it, QBP last week, and hopefully they don't run into problems. Their layoffs are announced. 2% of the workforce, I recognize at the surface, that doesn't sound necessarily like a lot. Obviously, any layoffs are not good. They're not, they're not a sign of good things coming. So does it mean QBP is about to just have the rug pulled out from under them? I don't think so. I'm not implying that by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think it is indicative that the industry doesn't think they're coming back strong in 2025 is the best way to look at it. Don't know any details about the layoffs themselves or how it affects it. I think the story says something about it. It's not part of the distribution network specifically or in the distribution facilities. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So 2%, I don't know how many people, the QBP, I think they're in the neighborhood of 800 people, somewhere around there, probably. 2% of the workforce, so you're probably talking 15 to 20 people. That concerns me. That sounds like about the right size for a department for something like Surly. I'm going to this because QBP did drop All City last year, and that was a cool steel bike brand. Surly's in our DNA, mine and Brad's both, and our whole crowd. Hopefully this isn't a bad sign for Surly specifically, but I will also say this. I haven't bought a Surly myself in a number of years. But that said, I just happened to look at their website today, and this is a really, really cool bike. I wasn't familiar with this one. The Surly Grappler dedicated drop bar trail bike, along the lines of some of the stuff Brad and I have been talking about the past few episodes. Drop bar adventure bikes with mountain bike capabilities, mountain bike size tires. I think there's a lot of room in the market going forward for that with the right cultivation for newer riders or existing riders to go off on different tangents. This Grappler bike is really cool. It checks a lot of boxes. But there is some throwback to it as well. And there was another story that, well, not another story, but another announcement that came out yesterday as well. Could completely be coincidental. But so Surly's a steel bike, typically on the lower end of the price scale, generally budget friendly for people that are already into cycling, people that are new into cycling, and $1,899 may sound like a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not a lot of money. I'm just saying people that are already into cycling under $2,000. Okay, that's probably a fairly attractive price point. Somebody new into cycling, you get upwards towards $2,000. They may balk at that. Also, yesterday, and we've talked about State before as well. They came out with the new version of their 4130 All Road series. Lots of parallels with Surly. I'm not equating State to Surly. I'm not saying they're the same thing. There's a lot of overlap, though. There is a lot of similarities. And well, there's a purplish bike right there. I would rock this bike. I would rock the Surly. But the new State bike, their 4130 All Road series, this is their low budget entry-level adventure bike. They just dropped that yesterday as well. Price point of $1,000. So not half the price of the Surly, but probably a little bit more overall on the modern side of things. I'm not saying Surly's in the past with its components and setup and everything like that. There's a lot to be said for the flexibility of both bikes, but yeah, the state's in the same wheelhouse, and just on an individual price point, people might look at it as being roughly half the price. I don't think that's a realistic comparison, to be honest with you. Thoroughly, you need to go to a bike shop and buy it, and the reality is more than likely this $1,899 price in the current state of the market, it's you could probably buy it for less would be my guess. I don't know. I don't have any insider knowledge on that. But let's say it's a roughly 15 or $1,600 bike at a bike shop right now with the bike shop helping you out, get it properly fit and set up and things like that, and showing you the ropes and making sure everything works, and you have somebody to go to if there's a problem. That makes that a 15 or $1,600 bike. Current conditions would be my guess. The the all road series from State, it's $1,000 bike, bought direct, delivered to your door. You have to finish putting it together. I'm not knocking it. You guys know that I'm a huge proponent of the bike shop. I think that's where most people, particularly newer riders, they should lean on the bike shop to at least help them get started, sort of thing. Make sure they're not doing anything stupid. The reality is you send this bike to a bike shop and it becomes for them to get a margin and to cover their warehousing and logistics and distribution and overhead and everything like that, hiring somebody to put it together, all those things, make sure that you're taken care of. That probably takes it in the neighborhood of a $1,500 bike as well. So realistically speaking, these are comparable bikes. I get it. Somebody buying direct said, well, Kevin, $500 is $500. I don't dispute that. I'm not trying to minimize the value of $500. What I'm saying is that $500 for most people isn't $500. Somewhere along the way, you're going to need to buy something else to make your $1,000 bike a better bike for your needs. Whereas if you'd have bought it at a bike shop, it could have probably been addressed on the front end. So it creeps up over time. And particularly if you don't know how to work on the bike or you're running into issues there, need to learn things, need to lean on somebody's expertise, the bike shop's value comes into play tremendously there. I'm not implying that Surly's going out of business. That's my own personal paranoia. I would hate for that to be the case. That said, if it does end up being something like that, QBP Surly, reach out to me. I will find a way to absorb every bit of inventory you have and keep Surly going one way or another. It comes to that. Because Surly's important to the cycling industry. So, like I said, I think Surly's probably fine. It's just Kevin's paranoia might kick in there a little bit. The other end of the spectrum, State. I like what you guys are doing. I really do. I would love to check out your bikes and I get it. This is the modern market. This is the current cycling market. I would love for you guys to find a way to work with the local shops too. That's all. Let's all support each other because that's kind of what's going to be the common theme of this episode is the cycling industry is still struggling. We all need each other to keep what's left afloat. And yes, I still think it can grow. I think it can come back strong. And we have lots of pieces in mind to help along those lines, but it's going to take cooperation from everyone. It's going to take cooperation among all the bike shops. I'll be perfectly honest with you. For years, that's been one of my toughest struggles as an events promoter is it's hard to get the individual bike shops themselves to cooperate with each other. The reality is we're all in this together. And I am starting to see signs of that now. I want to support every bike shop I possibly can. And I think there's enough market out there for every bike shop. We just got to connect the right people with the right shop for their needs. And it may be based specifically on geography. It may be based specifically on needing this brand for that rider or whatever else. Let's all find the best ways to work together. Then we take that to that next level as well. It's important for all the events to work together as well. We had a fantastic weekend. So this is not me crying at all. We had I'm excited for our potential. But we do things differently than almost every events promoter out there. And we're going to keep doing it even more differently. We'll touch on some of that today. But the way some of the bike shops have butted heads over the years, we see that among some of the events promoters as well. I think that needs to end. We're all here for each other. It's a limited market. Let's grow that market together. And what grows the market is giving people more opportunities to ride their bikes. And I do believe structured events and community events and things like that are the best way to grow the market, grow the cycling industry, and keep these brands afloat that are so important to each and every one of us. We'll touch on that a little bit more as we move along here. I really don't have a script or anything like that. I have a kind of a rough layout by internet tabs of things to remind me to talk about, and I'm more than likely gonna go off base here and there. What is my next tab? It's a Facebook tab. Oh yeah, talking about the Texas Chainring Massacre. Okay, and there we go. Nice little segue there. And talking about some of the events working together, I want to really thank Erin Magruder for taking pictures at this year's Texas Chainring Massacre. I believe she took them at last year's Texas Chainring Massacre as well. I'm pretty sure it is her picture that is, let's go back to that. I believe this cover picture is hers as well for this year's event. So Erin, we're probably going to take one of your pictures from this year and make it a cover picture for next year's Texas Chainring Massacre as well. And I think we're going to try to hire her to be our official photographer next year as well. Erin and her crew come down from the Columbia, Missouri area. And that's one of the things we really like about our Texas Chainring Massacre. That is our biggest event that draws the most folks from the widest geographic area of all of our events. All of our events pick up people from all over the country, but Chainring Massacre is definitely the biggest of the heap there that picks up the most from outside the area. The Missouri crew joins us every year. The Kansas crew joins us every year. Nebraska and Colorado folks are kind of hit and miss back and forth depending on what's going on, probably with their weather and traffic and things like that. But that Missouri crew, that Columbia crew, they put on gravel events in their area as well. And we're going to reach out to try to work with them on some of their events because we have other events we're working with, and this is a big deal for us. This is a huge focus of ours going forward to really collaborate with other events and work with others and help support the cycling community as a whole, help grow gravel. Because the reality is it's the local and the regional events that are going to grow cycling. It's not those national level. I'm not knocking the national level events. Please don't take it that way. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's the every weekend events that anybody can ride at any time. That's what's going to grow cycling. People need to go to safe and structured rides and events with a fantastic sense of community and a great sense of adventure. People feeling safe and secure while they're out and about. And I really do believe these local and regional events are the best way to accomplish that. And some of them are worth traveling a few hours to, or maybe, hey, maybe like I'm going to go to Missouri. I'm going to go to Nebraska. I'm going to go to some other places. We'll touch on that here in a bit. So again, thanks to Erin. Thanks to the Missouri crew. They have an event out of it's the Boonville area. Is it New Franklin? I can't remember. April 5th weekend, I think. I'm gonna look seriously at trying to make it up that way because I have roots in that area as well. Maybe we'll put together a Spinistry crew and head that. But additionally, we had a fantastic conversation with the folks at Gravel Worlds last week. Club Spinistry members are going to get some exclusive discounts to the gravel camp in April, towards the end of April in Nebraska, and Gravel Worlds towards the end of August as well. It's fantastic talking to Jason and Sophia with Gravel Worlds. We have some big plans to help grow the sport, and I really like the idea of Gravel World being the common destination to try to point everyone to, and work together with all the local and the grass. Oh, there was Emily and Lauren. Awesome. Work together with all the local and regional events to help grow the sport overall. So thank you guys at Gravel Worlds for working with us. If you're a Club Spinistry member, keep an eye on your emails. We'll be sharing how to get the coupon code. Again, at the moment, that is my plan, is to definitely go to Gravel Camp or Gravel Worlds, one or the other. If I can find a way to do both, I'm going to do that as well. I'm leaning towards Gravel Camp. I would love to be there for that, but I would also love to be at the Gravel Worlds Expo as well. Obviously a national level, an international level event. But as I touched on before, working and collaborating with the local and the regional events is a huge focus of ours as well. Super excited to let everyone know that the folks at Rattlesnake Gravel Grind in Sweetwater, that's in March. We're working with them to help point people that way. Put together a route for what we call Ramble to Rattlesnake, where we're going to do a multi-day ride from Fort Worth to Sweetwater and do a Club Spinistry supported ride there. And then the idea is because we're going to have a big crew from DFW that goes to the Rattlesnake Gravel Ride. You can do a multi-day supported ride your bike from Fort Worth to Sweetwater, and more than likely you'll have a friend of yours that's doing just the day ride at Rattlesnake Gravel Grind, and maybe catch a ride home with them. So super excited to be working with the folks at Rattlesnake Gravel Grind this year. Also, here's something super special. If you're not familiar with it, the Vermejo charcoal burner out of Raton, New Mexico, working with them as well. And what's neat about their setup is they use the same sign up platform as we do for Club Spinistry and Spinistry events. So the Vermejo charcoal burner, if you sign up for that and you're a Club Spinistry member, it automatically recognizes that and gives you a discount at checkout there. But the Vermejo charcoal burner, this is a unique ride. If you've not been to the Raton area, it's absolutely amazing through there. And this is west of there in an area that this is private. This is all private property. This is one of Ted Turner's vast tracts of land that is closed to the public. The only way you can see it is to be a guest of the ranch. And if you're a guest of the ranch for the Vermejo charcoal burner, you get to check this out. So it's May 17th, 2025. And I'm showing these as some examples of, we want to work with events everywhere to help send people that way and build value and build community, because the best thing about gravel and adventure routes or adventure events is every single one of them is different. It's an opportunity for all of us to see things that we've never seen before. And as in the Vermejo charcoal burner, we may never have any other opportunity to see these things. So we're super excited to work with other promoters out there and send Club Spinistry members their way, or whatever we can all do to help each other out. What's my next tab going to tell us to do, Kevin? Okay, here we go. Is this where I want to go yet? I may want to go here. Yeah, we'll go here. This is the tab I had. And this is my concussion head kicking in. I probably had a great plan in mind before I started recording. So this is Club Spinistry, the Club Spinistry page. And I'm bringing us to this because I want to talk about the things we've touched on here. This is not meant to be a big old shiftless commercial for Club Spinistry. But like I said, between the QBP and other stuff that came up, there were some things that I just felt were important to talk about. I'm not just blowing smoke here. It's critically important to me to do everything I can to build the cycling industry as a whole. I get it. I'm one person. I can only do so much, so I need all of y'all's help. I mean, I need that from the riders. I need that from other event promoters. I need that from the shops. I need that from the bike brands. I need that from the wholesalers. And we all need to find ways to work together to build this industry back up because it's it's a tremendous joy in my life to ride a bicycle. And I think other people would truly appreciate that joy. But we're also in a position now where if you're not riding gravel, if you're not riding adventures, it's damn terrifying to be out there on a bicycle. And it's really hard to start out with gravel and adventure riding and ultra endurance riding. We have to find ways to bridge from newer riders to being able to ride 30, 40, 50, 100 miles at a time, multi days, and things like that. You don't just hop on a bike and do it. You have to build up to it. And that's been a focus of ours for 15 years now, is building that progression. And I quite frankly, I think it's an area that the cycling industry has shot itself in the foot. They've let down new riders and the upcoming new community by focusing on N+1 and cultivating and catering to the existing market and trying to sell everybody just one more thing when you need to find new people to buy their first thing. Enough of that preaching. I'm done with that. But I want to use the Club Spinistry membership as a reflection of different ways that we go about doing that for all levels. So we have different membership levels. $75 a year presently gets you a 12-month membership to Club Spinistry as an individual. That gets you all of our single day events free of charge if you sign up in the early bird period. Like Texas Chainring Massacre, we can't have 400 people signing up the last week. We need to know in advance if we're going to have 500, 600, or 1,000 people there. So we're going to close down early bird entries probably 45 to 60 days before the event, so we know how to plan around it and put all the pieces in place and things like that. Our typical events that are 100 to 200 people, we can probably keep those open until the day of the event and free for Club Spinistry members. So $75 a year is a really, really good deal. And I bring that up because if, for example, if you were a non-Club Spinistry member that signed up for the Texas Chainring Massacre this year, you may have paid $75 to enter it. Well, that $75 is considered a trial membership, and you'll be getting an email within the next few days that says, here's a coupon code. You can apply your entry fee towards a 12-month membership. So the reality is you weren't signing up for the Texas Chainring Massacre. You were signing up for a membership as long as you apply your coupon code. And here's the really cool thing about it. Maybe you paid $75 to enter the 80 miler for the 2025 Texas Chainring Massacre. You will be getting a coupon code for the 12-month membership within a few days. You can get your 12-month membership by using that coupon code at no cost, no additional cost there. And that 12-month membership is going to take you through the Texas Chainring Massacre for 2026. So your $75 entry fee got you 2 Texas Chainring Massacres and any other Spinistry events you might want to do and any other Spinistry benefits that we can come up with. And hold that thought. That's a focus we're really going to be working on this year, is partnering up with cycling related businesses and brands and things like that, and trying to find ways to get more benefits for Club Spinistry members. So $75 entry fee. If you're not a Club Spinistry member, gets you 2 Texas Chainring Massacres. I think that's a heck of a deal. And if you join us for any of our other events throughout the year, or if you join us for the Rat 1000 or whatever, you get into those free as well. Can't beat that, right? So we also have a family membership at the moment, $125 for up to a family of 4 in the same household. Please don't play with this and join up with your friends and add the. We think we're being pretty generous here, given a family discount of this level. Please don't take advantage of us there. We have another level of membership that we call our carbon membership, which gives you free entry up to even for the Texas Chainring Massacre. And if we have other larger events that we have to close that early bird entry, the carbon membership will get free entry up until event day, as long as there are still slots available. Some events we may have sellout. We may have a hard stop. It could be for facilities restrictions or whatever else. So carbon membership will still get you free entry up until sold out. And also we offer some custom routing features too. If you need custom routes put together, you get some custom routes as a carbon member. The next level is our titanium level, which gives you free entry up until event day. It gives you some access to some supported options at no extra charge. And if it is even for sold out events, if you're a titanium member, you'll be able to get into a sold out event. The reality is we always have at least X percentage of people that are no shows, and we don't have that many titanium members, so we can swap spots there. I'm not trying to upsell anyone by any stretch of the imagination. I think most people, $75 for a year, that's a great deal. Go that route. If you're concerned about early bird entries and don't want to sign up early, look at the carbon membership. If you want, all the extras that we have available, look at the titanium. I will say this, and this, again, I'm not trying to upsell anyone. I'm not trying to fast track it. Probably after March, late March, not sure. Prices will be going up on all of this. But if you are a current Club Spinistry member and you're set up for auto renew, as long as you auto renew, you'll renew automatically at the old price. So that's kind of the idea. We're trying to get everybody on board now at the old pricing. And then as new people come in, they won't know any different. They'll just come in at the higher pricing, which the reality is we should probably be $100 or more for the probably 125 is what the math works if you listen to my accountants. But I'm not comfortable going that high. So probably 100 at the most. I'm trying to keep it closer to 90. We got to work the math on that for the next couple months and figure that out. Titanium and carbon memberships will definitely be going up, but we're also going to be adding a lot more features to those. So if you're interested in any of these, get them now. If you're not a member yet, if you are a Texas Chainring Massacre, you definitely want to use that coupon code there. Now, another level of membership that we have is what we call a corporate supporter. And I'm going to go fairly in depth on this momentarily, because I really want to thank some people that without their corporate support that they throw into the mix, Privateer and Texas Chainring Massacre would have been extremely difficult, probably impossible to pull off. But we do also offer a corporate supporter package, $500, and that's for the brands and the products who believe in what we do. It gets the supporter a free entry into all of our Club Spinistry events. We give them lots of love on social media. We give them lots of marketing. We talk them up. We include them in the pictures. We wear their hats on the videos, whatever else. Lots of love there, but we do give you a lot of tangible benefit as well. I'm going to touch on some of those thank yous here in a moment. I'm bringing that up because along the lines of working together with everyone and everybody supporting each other, this is how we're asking for the support. Like the events I was referring to, if somebody that's connected with the event is a Club Spinistry member, a local event, the way we work with them is, hey, you pay us the equivalent of whatever your highest entry fee is. Let's call it $80 for the Rattlesnake gravel. I'm not sure what it is, but let's say it's $80 for the Rattlesnake gravel ride. That $80, we're going to add you to our calendar. We're going to talk you up throughout the year. We're going to try to help send folks your way directly. We're going to put together a group to go out there and do it. I'm going to do a podcast, and I'll be reaching out to David with Rattlesnake Gravel Grind probably in a couple weeks. We're going to do a podcast to talk about his event. And I mean, obviously that $80 isn't covering the cost. I'm doing air quotes here if you're listening to the podcast of me doing all these things. It's more along the lines of, hey, let's make it an official thing. We're working together, we're supporting each other, sort of thing. And so that's how that works at that level. Club Spinistry members that are also event promoters went, hey, let's work together. We're happy to do that. Our corporate supporters, let's roll into that a little bit because I really do want to thank our current corporate supporters, and we do welcome more. And when I say it's a corporate supporter, this is not a, these are people that I've reached out to that, hey, I like you guys a lot. I like what you do. I want to keep working with you. What can we do to work together and grow the community, sort of thing. So when you see somebody that's a corporate supporter of ours, it is somebody we truly believe in. Mad Duck Cyclery, you guys have heard me talk about them forever. I would be happy with any of them being my number one shop. But the relationship that Clarence and I have had for almost 25 years now, oh, good God, that's so old. You know, we know each other. We consider each other friends. So Mad Duck Cyclery, they've always got my back. I've always got their back, but that doesn't mean they're the only game in town. I'm not going to pretend they are. Pickle Juice, those guys were fantastic. We are so excited for them to be on board with us through 2025. Arundel. And here's something that's super important to me as well. Pickle Juice and Arundel, obviously Mad Duck, these are all local businesses. When I say local, these are national, international businesses, Pickle Juice and Arundel, but they are North Texas based, and they are fantastic products with fantastic reputations. And for us to be able to support local businesses that are fitness and cycling related like this, it's super, super satisfying to me. I'm glad to be working with all of these groups. Endure out of Frisco, been working with Jason for close to probably since 2017. Started out our first Lockhart breaker. He was instrumental in helping us with that. Fantastic supporter with stem caps. We've been fortunate enough that he's moved up this way and started a shop out of Frisco. Endure. Insurance for Texans. You guys have heard me talk about them each and every week. Ron is truly a dear friend. We are true customers of theirs. We don't get discounts from them or anything like that. They take care of us, and we're glad they're on board. And yes, they get cycling. They get surly. I guarantee you that. They know what that's all about. Dallas Bike Works, Boyd, since he took over that shop, it's a staple in North Texas. Anybody that's looking specifically in the Dallas area for bicycle work for a shop, DBW is where I always point them to the first time. We're super excited to have Boyd and his crew on board this year. Velo Cafe, Austin. Velo Cafe out of Keller. Aston, I remember when first time I met him was in Keller, taking a trophy to him because he kicked ass at one of our events. And he's been a community leader, and his shop's been a community leader in Tarrant County for a way long time now. One more, and this is another Texas business, Cantu Cycling Wheels, John and Benny. We're privileged to have businesses like that based out of Texas, but we recognize that just because you're a national brand, an international brand, you know, it doesn't mean it's easy for you. These guys work hard. They put together a fantastic company with fantastic products. Reach out to them if you're looking for some aftermarket wheels. Let them do something custom that fits just for you, and help support some Texas businesses if that's something that's important to you. But that doesn't mean that we only work with Texas-based businesses. Like I said, we're going to New Mexico, we're going to Missouri, we're going to Nebraska. We're in the process of ultimately moving to Georgia ourselves and doing things in Florida and Louisiana as well, probably Arkansas as well. We want to support everybody that is cycling industry related because we all grow and build together. Please do focus on collaboration and community. That's our focus going forward. And if you have any ideas, feel free to leave comments or reach out to us. Tell us what we can do to help you as well. And I'm going to wrap this up with one kind of editorial-ish piece. And I don't want this to come across as a negative. So I'm going to try to be very careful in how I approach this, but this year's class of the Gravel Cycling Hall of Fame was put out this week, and anything I say here has nothing to do with who is being inducted, who was accepted. Congratulations to all of them. So nothing I'm saying here has anything to do with the people that were accepted for the Gravel Cycling Hall of Fame. I'm just going to throw in my 2 cents here because I think we're overdue for Jim Cummins to be inducted into the Gravel Cycling Hall of Fame. I don't think there's a single individual out there who has had more impact on gravel than Jim all of this time. There's no doubt that Jim has had more impact on the sport of gravel cycling than probably anyone. It's overdue for him to be in the Gravel Cycling Hall of Fame. And anybody that is familiar with the history of Spinistry and the history of DK/Unbound or whatever else is probably aware that Jim and I have butted heads over the years over different things. Haven't necessarily always been on the same page of things. So I'm not saying this as, well, this is a good friend of mine who got a raw deal. No, this is, I'm saying this as an events promoter that recognizes the sweeping changes that he introduced to the sport, was integral to, and whatever his sins may have been, his penance has been paid as far as I'm concerned. We're past time for him to be included, and at least in my opinion, until that happens, there is no credibility to the Gravel Cycling Hall of Fame. When it was first announced, I was concerned about it, to be honest with you. I know I wasn't the only one. I reached out to some people that I trusted and believed in, and they vouched for the Gravel Cycling Hall of Fame. So I'm still vouching for it as well. But that said, it doesn't have anything to do with this year. But if Jim isn't in there next year, Mark, Bobby, fix that shit. All right. Take care of it. All right. So that is how I'm going to wrap things up today. Didn't mean to end on a downer like that, but I think it's something that is super important. Again, thank you to everyone that joined us for Texas Chainring Massacre, the inaugural Privateer Invitational Gravel Grinder. We have lots of plans to help grow gravel and adventure cycling going forward, and we appreciate y'all's help and contribution as well.